And we start tonight with breaking news. There's a verdict in the trial of the father of Oxford High School shooter Ethan Crumbley. A jury has just found James Crumbley guilty on 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter for not doing enough to stop his son in that deadly massacre. Now, this decision comes after 10 hours of deliberations. Crumbley's wife, Jennifer, was also convicted last month for the same counts, and it is the first time ever that the parents of a school shooter have been held directly responsible for the killings. You'll remember Ethan Crumbley is serving life in prison for killing 4 students at Oxford High School back in November of 2021. NBC News correspondent Adrian Broaddus joins us now. Adrian, 2 parents now convicted of involuntary manslaughter. Can you talk to us about how the jury got to this verdict?
Well, Gadi, as you mentioned, they deliberated more than 10 hours. The prosecution called 15 witnesses. 14 of those witnesses were the same people we heard from in the case involving Jennifer Crumbley, who will be sentenced in April. There was one new witness, a detective with the Detroit Police Department, that the prosecution team called. Also in this case, members of the jury did not hear James Crumbley take the stand. Unlike his wife, he did not take the stand in his own defense. This jury evenly split, 6 men, 6 women, deciding or delivering that guilty verdict tonight for James Crumbley. 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, 1 count for each child who was killed. Gadi.
And does this seem to be setting a new precedent moving forward when it comes to school shootings? We could see more parents held liable for what their children have done?
You know, that is the big question. And prosecutors across the country, not only here in Michigan, have been watching this case closely. And legal experts that I spoke with caution that this case was an exceptional case because there were so many red flags. One prosecutor, a federal prosecutor at that, told me he wouldn't expect a landslide of prosecutions because this case was, again, exceptional. He said the facts were so extreme in terms of the number of red flags, and charging an involuntary manslaughter case is challenging. The key is you have to show that the violent conduct of your child was reasonably foreseeable, and that was one of the overarching themes we heard in this case against James Crumbley. Prosecutor saying that James Crumbley could have prevented the shooting that led to the deaths of those 4 students, calling it foreseeable and preventable. By contrast, his defense argued James Crumbley had no knowledge of his son's intentions. Well, tonight, James Crumbley has been found guilty of all 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. We are inside of the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office. We're in an area here waiting. We will hear from the prosecutor who led the case against James Crumbley, as well as his wife, Jennifer. We haven't been able to speak with her during the trials because there was a gag order. But the moment that verdict was read tonight, that gag order was lifted, and we will hear from her tonight. Michigan, once again, making history. The first 2 parents in the U.S. held criminally responsible for a mass school shooting carried out by their child. Their son, Ethan, who was 15 at the time, is serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Gadi.
Adrian Broaddus, thank you so much. What a remarkable case there. And nearly 40 million people are at risk right now of severe weather in areas stretching from Texas to Ohio. Tornadoes and hail bigger than golf balls has already been spotted in Kansas and Indiana. Over in Colorado, some areas have already seen up to 5 feet of snow. Now, that storm is causing all kinds of problems: snow-covered roads, canceled flights, power outages, and school closures. Even ski resorts closed up shop today, including one resort at Eldora Mountain that hasn't closed because of the snow in over 20 years. We have NBC News meteorologist Bill Karen standing by, tracking the latest conditions tonight across the country. But first, let's go to NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin, who is in Boulder, Colorado. And that's Dana, where it is coming down hard. Dana, how much snow are you seeing out there?
I mean, it's a ton of snow, Gadi. We still have 12 more hours of the storm to go. So what you're seeing on the ground on the ground, it's likely to double by tomorrow morning. Just take a look. This is how much snow has fallen that has not been moved, several inches. In some areas, the snow is measured in feet. And what makes this storm so different, I want to show you. When you pick it up, it is so compact because this is full of water. So much water that it's causing a concern that this could bring down power lines and tree limbs. We actually found one here right behind us. You can see this is what happened sometime overnight till today, and we've even seen little branches come down as well. So even these are pretty dangerous, because if you're standing under a tree, you definitely don't want to get hit with one of these. We've seen a lot of neighbors out shoveling their yards, shoveling their driveways, shoveling their neighbors' driveways, and they talk about just how much work goes into this. Take a listen.
It's so cakey, for one thing. It's very stiff. And there's a lot of water, and so you got to deal with all that. Clogs up the gutter system, and then it can break the branches of the trees.
And obviously that's what they don't want. I spoke to another neighbor who said that he's not going to the gym because he's getting his workout in, and he's coming out several times throughout the day because he knows that if he waits until tomorrow to start shoveling, it's just going to get heavier and heavier. He says his shovel felt like he was shoveling 20 to 30 pounds full just clearing the sidewalk. Gadi?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about that woman and her little broom there. Hopefully she gets an actual heavy-duty shovel. Thank you so much for joining us. And let's bring in NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns. Bill, the Midwest and parts of the South are dealing with tornadoes and hail so big it's being called gorilla hail?
Yeah, it's a kind of as a broad term for very large hail. I mean, the technical categories are, like ping pong ball, golf ball size. Then we get up to tennis ball, baseball, softball, and that usually is where the conversation ends. Some people get carried away. But so this has been a big hail-producing night. We're in the middle of a severe weather outbreak. We've had 4 tornadoes at least reported. Look how many hail reports. Large hail, 113. I've already heard of 2 4-inch hail reports. I just saw another one that came in at 4.5 inches. When you get to 4 inches, that's softball-size hail. In 2 of those instances, it's smashed windshields, because that's the stuff that's going to go right through the glass, either your roof of your car, or the sunroof, or the windshield or the back windshield. And all of these reports stretch from Ohio all the way down into Oklahoma. But now we're starting to watch some of these storms spinning a little bit. We are having tornado watches that continue from areas of northeast Texas all the way into Ohio. All these little red boxes are active tornado warnings. I can see at least 8 of them. We've been watching this one very closely in Ohio. It was a confirmed large tornado that was on the ground. It was just to the south of Stokes here. This tornado warning continues near Rush Creek. So this area has had a history of a very strong tornado. And now we have a new tornado warning going all the way to the south, just north of Dallas. So, you can see there's Lake Dallas, there's Denton, there's a tornado warning here, and you see this little spinning signature just north of Frisco. So, again, there's a considerable chance that we're going to have additional tornadoes through the night. As far as the snow goes, round 1 was last night and this morning. They had a little bit of a break during the day. Some areas did get 3 to 4 feet of snow. Denver and Boulder, right around a half a foot. But now we're seeing the snow increasing. The sun is setting, and the temperatures are dropping. So the roads that were cleared are now going to get snow covered again. This blue is just all snow in this area. It's going to snow hard tonight, so travel will be very difficult. A lot of schools canceled again tomorrow. And Gadi, when we are all said and done, this is almost like a California forecast in the Sierra. Evergreen, 48 to 56 inches, up to 6 feet totals in the highest elevations of the Front Range. Boulder 12 to 20 with last night and tonight, and Denver about 10 to 18. But it's not often, Colorado gets big snowstorms, but not California big.
Yeah, evergreen is not evergreen. It is ever white for a little while, it looks like. Bill Cairns, thanks so much. And Donald Trump's legal team has suffered a bit of a setback in Florida in his attempt to toss out charges against him for allegedly mishandling classified documents. Today, a federal judge denied one of Trump's requests to dismiss the charges, rejecting his claim that the Espionage Act, which is the main statute in the indictment against him, was used against Trump in a way that was vague and unfair. The Justice Department argues Trump violated the Espionage Act more than 30 times when he took classified material from the White House after he left office. However, the judge did leave open the possibility that she could side with Trump sometime in the future on one of his other arguments. For more, let's bring in NBC News analyst Angeles and Andela. Angela, from the get-go, the judge here seemed pretty skeptical about some of the arguments she heard from Trump's lawyers. Can you explain today's decision and whether or not it indicates anything about how she could rule on the case overall?
So today really focused on motions to dismiss. And in general, those motions to dismiss don't really indicate the future of the trial. And that's because every defense attorney will bring up motions to dismiss. It's just something that they all do. But the prosecution wouldn't bring a case like this if they didn't believe it would survive a motion to dismiss. So the bar to dismiss a case at this stage is much, much lower than, for example, a bar to obtain a conviction. Now, what the judge threw out today regarded the Espionage Act. And look, Trump's team was pretty bold here in claiming that even though this Espionage Act has resulted in the convictions of dozens of people, that this judge should decide that the act itself was unconstitutional and just by herself throw it out. Now, that is a lot to ask any judge to do. And so this judge was unwilling to take that step. I mean, that's often something that, for example, the Supreme Court would take up, not just one judge in Florida. So the judge soundly dismissed that motion to dismiss, and we'll see what the judge says about the other motion to dismiss. But that one also, again, motions to dismiss are generally a long shot, so we don't expect either of them to move forward.
And Angela, we seem to somehow be back to talking about Hillary Clinton's emails, but her emails, right? Trump's lawyers are trying to make this comparison by pointing out that Clinton wasn't prosecuted for using a private email server. Is there a connection between these two cases? Is it apples and oranges?
Honestly, Gadi, I don't see the connection there. I think at this point, Trump's team is frankly doing what any good defense team would do, and that is just throwing the whole book in the attempt to delay the trial, because in this case, that would be absolutely what is most beneficial to their client, who is Trump. Now, I think the difference with this case and Hillary and almost all of the other cases that people try to relate or see a correlation with is that he also here is charged with obstruction of justice. The fact is he did not cooperate when asked. And oftentimes, people like the president will take records and do things with them that maybe they aren't supposed to. But usually they cooperate the moment that they are asked for those records back. But in this case, Trump did not. And that is not something that you could cross-apply to really any other person that he is trying to relate his case to, Gadi.
And Trump's lawyers seem to be trying to use the Presidential Records Act as some sort of shield. What does the Presidential Records Act actually shield them from?
So this is interesting because actually both sides are trying to use the Presidential Records Act in very different ways. So here we have former President Trump's team saying that because of this civil act that forces presidents to return all of their records, but then at some point they can take their notes with them, that means that a president could determine that any presidential record is a personal record. And you will see this theme, frankly, across all of his defenses, that a president can do extraordinary things because he is the president. And that's what he's saying here, that as a president, there were no limits to this act. But you see Jack Smith and the prosecution side saying quite the opposite, which is no, the Presidential Records Act is pretty explicit that you're supposed to return those records and that it's really only notes that you could take with you. In this case, these classified documents go far from being considered notes in any way, but that is something the jury will decide in this case.
Angela Sanandela, thanks so much. And don't go anywhere. We are just getting started. Up next, escape from Haiti. NBC's Gabe Gutierrez has stories of Americans trying to get out of the country as the violence there gets worse. Plus, an incredible video diary from a student who left Gaza City. She documented how she left her family and her desperate search for shelter. You're not going to want to miss that. And later, we'll introduce you to a guy who does it all. Skateboarding, jiu-jitsu, he does not let anything get in his way. And did we mention he's legally blind? That's coming up this hour, so stay tuned.
Because I can do something at an upper level that not even the average Joe can do.
Hey, welcome back. And it looks like some gangs in Haiti might be trying to join forces to become some sort of legitimate political bloc. We're going to have a full report on that in just a moment. But first, let's take a quick look around the world. It is not every day that China comes out with a public apology, but after authorities were seen on live TV harassing reporters, they did just that. They came out and they said they were sorry. The reporters were covering the deadly restaurant explosion we told you about last night when police began manhandling them. Today, Chinese officials put put out a statement expressing, quote, deep regret over the incident. And a high court in Japan says the country's ban on same-sex marriage is unconstitutional. The ruling came down today, making it the first win for a Japanese advocacy group that has sued 5 times in as many years in support of the LGBTQ community. The case now goes to Japan's Supreme Court. And Russians will start voting in their presidential election tomorrow. However, right now there are reports that Ukrainians living in places illegally taken over by Russia also have to vote in the same election. And here's where things get a little dicey. There are reports that some of these people are being forced to vote at gunpoint for Vladimir Putin. And speaking of Russia, the country is believed to have jammed the GPS on the plane carrying British Defense Secretary Grant Shapps. It happened today when Shapps was flying between Poland and the UK and hit Russian territory. That interference lasted about 30 minutes, but didn't cause any danger to Shapps or the plane. And in Haiti, the situation is getting worse every single day. Just take a look at this video. People are desperately trying to escape as gang violence takes over that country. But a lot of people are trapped because those gangs are controlling large parts of the capital, Port-au-Prince. According to a State Department official, among them are at least 200 Americans, including best-selling author of Tuesdays with Morrie, Mitch Albom, who was visiting his orphanage in Haiti when the violence broke out. He and 9 others had to escape in the middle of the night on a helicopter. And here's how he explained it to NBC News correspondent Gabe Gutierrez.
How harrowing was that escape?
You know, the fear is that the gangs are going to shoot at the helicopters, and the door closed, and within 60 seconds, we were up in the air in the dark and flying and trying to get out of Haiti.
Let's bring in Gabe Gutierrez on the ground for us in the Dominican Republic. Gabe, can you tell us more about the situation there on the border with Haiti?
Yeah, Gadi, look, right behind us, that is the Haitian border. The authorities aren't letting us take our cameras back there, but just a few moments ago, we walked back there and looked through the bars, and it was incredible. On the other side, large mass of people essentially waiting for food. And Gadi, throughout the day, we were here in the Dominican Republic, and for once, and they're allowed to do this every now and again, potentially even once a week, Haitians are allowed into this no man's land where I'm standing before you actually get into the main area of the Dominican Republic. And there was this open air market where Haitians went there today to try and get food, bring back supplies. And that's something that the need here is overwhelming. They wanted this food to be able to take back to their families. Now, I've been speaking with people, both Haitians here, but also Americans that are trapped inside Haiti right now. You mentioned Mitch Albom. Well, we spoke with with a missionary who was trapped near Port-au-Prince's airport with her family. She is trying desperately to make it back home to Florida in time for her daughter's wedding. Here's some of what she told us.
They saying if we was to come back home to get our things, that day is going to kill us.
You know, patients who suffered from gunshot wounds the previous day, who are only able to make it to our facility 12 hours later when they feel safe.
We did hear gunfire like right outside at this gate, and it was very scary. And we hid in our room until it went away.
Now, in addition to the missionary there, you also heard from a physician for Doctors Without Borders who told us that the violence was right outside of his hospital. And recently, he even saw a patient of his executed by armed gangs while inside an ambulance. And right now, Gadi, about 80% of Port-au-Prince is controlled by armed gangs. Gadi.
And Gabe, yesterday we saw the U.S. send in a new team of Marines to protect the embassy there as the UN is trying to set up this air bridge between Haiti and DR. How much humanitarian aid is actually making it into Haiti, and what kind of impact does it have?
Well, that is a huge question at this point. You mentioned the UN making that announcement today, but the need really is overwhelming. The UN estimates nearly 1 million people inside Haiti are on the brink of famine right now, and the United States is really trying to walk a fine line here and not trying to get too involved, but also providing a lot of the funding for a multinational security force to step in and try and restore order. But that's proving very challenging at this point. And there are also concerns, Gadi, about a Haitian migrant influx. The U.S. now says that it is also considering housing temporarily Haitian migrants at Guantanamo Bay, like it's done before. Gadi.
And Gabe, I mean, the Prime Minister, he announced he's stepping down a few days ago. What's the latest with this power vacuum?
Yeah, that power vacuum continues, Gadi, and this plans for this political transition appears to be stalling at this point. Some of it is local politics. There's a prominent politician here, G. Philippe, who has a huge following here. He was in the U.S. Several years ago, pleaded guilty to criminal charges here, came back to Haiti, and is supported by many of the armed gangs because he's promised them amnesty if he were to take office. Well, he is very opposed to this political transition. And so right now, the gangs oppose it. And even though the international community is pushing for it and the U.S. is largely funding it, the gangs do have the weapons. And right now, they have control of the capital, Gadi.
NBC's Gabe Gutierrez, thanks so much and stay safe. And earlier today, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer took a shocking stance on the war in Israel from the Senate floor. That's where he was blasting Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and even calling for new elections. Take a listen.
I also believe Prime Minister Netanyahu has lost his way by allowing his political survival to take the precedence over the best interests of Israel. He has shown zero interest in doing the courageous and visionary work required to pave the way for peace, even before this present conflict. Israel cannot survive if it becomes a pariah.
And for more, let's go to NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley.
Well, we're starting to get some reaction from Israelis from those comments by Senator Chuck Schumer today, in which he called on Israelis to have new elections in order to elect new leadership, essentially saying, and this is how it was heard, that he wants to see Israelis replace Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, whose protracted war in the Gaza Strip has now killed well more than 30,000 people, most of them civilians. This, according to Gazan health authorities. Now, this was pretty different from the kind of criticism we've heard in the past from the administration itself. Joe Biden, the president, is becoming increasingly and publicly frustrated with Benjamin Netanyahu's continuing attacks on the Gaza Strip and the massive loss of civilian life. But these comments are the first we've heard from anyone within the Democratic Party in the United States, basically calling on Netanyahu to be replaced. Now, we just heard from Netanyahu's office, the Likud party, Netanyahu's party, said that Israel is not a banana republic, but an independent and proud democracy that elected Prime Minister Netanyahu. Prime Minister Netanyahu leads a determined policy that is supported by a huge majority of the people, and then goes on to say that Senator Schumer is expected to respect Israel's elected government. And that's one of the things that kind of broke with protocol here. Normally, senators, congressmen, lawmakers don't criticize foreign leaders who are considered allies to the United States. But again, this is coming against the backdrop of increasing criticism from the Biden administration, as the Biden administration tries still to try to create some sort of agreement between Hamas and Israel that would see a pause in the fighting in the Gaza Strip, the release of Palestinian prisoners held by the Israelis, and the release of more than 100 Israeli hostages held now in the Gaza Strip, including still 6 Americans. The deadline, the start of Ramadan for that, has passed, but negotiations are kind of still continuing. And that could be, right now, the only relief from the appalling violence that's continuing in the Gaza Strip.
Matt Bradley, thanks so much. And coming up, we've got some incredible stories for you, including one about this awesome skateboarder slash jiu-jitsu master in Southern California who just happens to be blind. His story is an absolute inspiration. But first, you gotta see this. Your eyes are not gonna be playing tricks on you here. That is indeed a plane on water. This is a British Airways Concorde jet, the fastest commercial plane in the world, unless it's on a boat. And it just traveled up the Hudson River on a 500-ton barge. This morning, the aircraft came back to its home at the Intrepid Air, Sea, and Space Museum in New York City. It had been under restoration for months, but now the public finally gets to see it again. 300-foot crane lifted the jet into its place at the museum site. It is quite the return. We'll be right back after the break. Hey, welcome back. And here are some of the other headlines we're watching tonight. Former Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin says he is getting together a group to try to buy TikTok, though he hasn't said exactly who these mystery investors are. Today, Mnuchin told CNBC he thinks the bill that could lead to a ban to TikTok will go through. And Vice President Kamala Harris visited an abortion clinic in Minnesota today. This is actually the first time a vice president has done so, and Harris has emerged as a vocal advocate on abortion access for the White House. And the Republican-led Iowa State House recently blocked a bill that could have threatened IVF access there. The so-called personhood bill would have made it a felony to, quote, cause death of an unborn person. There were concerns that it could have criminalized IVF treatments like what we saw in Alabama a few weeks ago. And Bernie Sanders is leading the charge for a 4-day work week. The senator introduced a bill to reduce the standard work week over the next 4 years without reducing pay. Today, during a hearing, there was some opposition claiming the move would hurt the U.S. economy and send jobs overseas. Senator Sanders insists it's good for the country. And another day, another problem for another Boeing plane. Yesterday, an American Airlines flight landed safely after the crew reported a flat tire during takeoff. Boeing 777 aircraft landed at LAX after taking off from Dallas. American says there was no blown tire, but the pilot got an indication that the pressure was low. The FAA is now investigating. And the U.S. and Japan are ramping up joint military drills. It's because they want to improve coordination while dealing with threats from China. NBC News correspondent Janice Mackey-Freyer is in Okinawa, Japan, with some very rare access inside those drills.
Here on Okinawa, amphibious carriers are landing on a beach to simulate a raid to take back an island.
These are American vehicles rolling off a Japanese hovercraft.
Japan and the U.S. expanding joint military drills to hone close coordination between forces.
These drills happen fast. They're already heading back out to sea.
And for the first time, the exercise, called Iron Fist, said to name China as the hypothetical enemy, though the threat is real, says the U.S. ambassador to Japan, Rahm Emanuel.
What is it that China is doing that is creating this potential for conflict?
Well, they're in conflict with everybody. There's no country in the region they're not in some kind of small, very small K, kinetic problem with. An untethered, unanchored China is destabilizing China.
With Japan facing its gravest security threat in decades, spending billions on American stealth fighter jets and cruise missiles to defend against China, but also Russia and North Korea. A key part of Japan's strategy involves fortifying an island chain with missile systems and a new military base that U.S. aircraft would use too, creating a wall centered around Taiwan, limiting China's access to the Western Pacific. China's claims over most of the disputed South China Sea are causing friction, with close encounters involving Chinese ships and aircraft. The U.S. transforming its presence, too.
We're the permanent Pacific power. You can bet long on America.
For years, these drills were held in the U.S. and last year moved here as deterrence and a message that Japan is readying to fight. Janice Mackey-Freyer, NBC News, Okinawa.
Janice, thank you for that. And after the break, we're going to tell you the story of a young woman forced to escape Gaza without her family. She documented her entire journey from the start of the war and shared it with us. That's coming up, so stay tuned. Israel's push into Gaza has displaced well over 1 million Palestinians so far, and that number is so big, it's really hard to put into context. So instead, tonight, we want to tell you about what's happening from one person's perspective, a 22-year-old dental student named Salma Sharab from Gaza City. And since the first months of the war, she has been keeping video diaries as her family fled south looking for any sort of shelter. And she shared those diaries with our NBC News Digital Documents team. Take a look.
There was something that I did before everything happened that was the official goodbye for Gaza. I went for a car ride, and I'll tell you the story. It was the 6th of October. It was dark at night, and me and Rana had an extra half an hour after our weekly cousin hangout. Rana pushed me to turn around, not go home. Go for a late car ride. And at night, Gaza is so beautiful. It's empty. The lights are nice. The streets are nice. And not knowing it was the last time seeing Gaza, in its full glory. Hello world, this is Salma Shurrab. I live in Gaza and have been living in Gaza my whole life. We're just trying to survive the day with minimum trouble, minimum crying, minimum food, and just next day, and so on and so on. The only thing that helped me emotionally in Gaza was my journaling book. My journaling book was my therapist. So as you can see, all Gaza citizens are just preparing themselves to leave. Just pray for us, and hopefully we'll come back home. We will come back home. I was a dental student in Al-Azhar University in Gaza. So I most probably had the life that I was going for. I never knew that relying on an occupied country would be so risky, to lose everything. This is all memories of a tragic time, and I filled each one of them with collective stuff from the war. I even have a bullet here. I found a bullet that reached us when we were safe. Like hit the wall and came on the ground. I picked it up when it was not heated. I cleaned it and I saved it in the journal. I know it's dangerous, but this is how I'm gonna remember the worst time I had. It's the night and I can't see anything, and I'm very, very scared of the darkness. Hopefully this night, oh my God, you can hear now. Oh my God. They're managing to cook on some wood and some leaves and some fire that is like so unsanitary. We only had maybe 1 or 2 meals a day. You can eat either breakfast, lunch, or dinner, depending on your hunger. Sometimes we had fillings for the food, but we didn't have the bread. Some other days we had the bread, but we didn't have any filling for the food. If you would have told me that this will be my life, I would have never believed you. This is when I was sleeping and I woke up hearing like me, my name. They told me, your name is on the list. I'm like, what do you mean my name is on the list? I'm not prepared for this. Am I meant to have a life? And I have to make the most difficult decision I have ever made, which is leaving my family behind. I was saying goodbye and I didn't know if I'll be able to see them again. We all hugged each other, we all cried. And my mom told me, it's your time, you're young, you have dreams to pursue. And here I am in Cairo. Seeing the bakeries just full of bread and there's no lines. I personally was standing in Gaza in the lines for bread for 3 hours, waiting for just 1 pack of bread. I stood in front of the bakery and I'm like, I cried. And like the baker is telling me, is there something wrong? I'm telling him, no, I'm just a Gaza citizen who has waited in the line for way too long. Having my brother with me he's my backbone. He's like almost my twin. I used to sleep next to him during all the time of war. Each rocket that comes, he hugs me, he tells me it's gonna be okay. I'll introduce myself first. Ana Salma Shurrab. I'm 22 years old. The journal was my therapy in the most time I needed it. It holds who I am. That's how I'm going to stay connected to the past life I had in Gaza, even though it was destroyed. My parents are not very young. They're old people who love Gaza. There's part of me that feels the guilt that I have access to water, electricity, light. I feel guilty that my parents are not having that right now. I feel like I'm responsible for saving their lives, even though I can barely save mine. Well, the war hasn't finished, and as long as I'm alive here, no matter if I was in Gaza or out of Gaza, it's still happening. The war is in me.
And thank you to our digital docs team for putting that together. Before we go, it is time for the future of everything. Today, SpaceX is 22 years old, and to celebrate its birthday, they launched the most ambitious Starship to date, and it was awesome. That's coming up after the break. And tonight in the future of everything, AI is hitting home, like literally hitting home. There is this new technology that can design a whole house for you, and it's from the company Icon. They're unveiling the new tech called Vitruvius. Now, this is the same company that developed the first 3D printed housing development in Austin, Texas. Vitruvius made its grand entrance at South by Southwest, the festival there, where people got an up-close look at how it all works.
I think it's going to be more of a tool. There are jobs that are going to change. Obviously, architecture is never going to be the same anymore.
CNBC's senior real estate correspondent Diana Olick joins me now. Diana, you also got to test this software out, Vitruvius, right? How does it work?
Okay, well, Gadi, it was really cool. First, all you do is you tell Vitruvius basically what you want, and then it asks you just a ton of questions, but it learns from your answers as well as from every design that it's ever seen. Then it gives you 3 potential homes. Now, as you said, I tried it out with the help of the company's CEO, Jason Ballard, and I designed my dream vacation home.
I'd like a log cabin style vacation ski home.
How many bedrooms and bathrooms?
I'd like 5 bedrooms and at least 3.5 bathrooms. I'd like an open floor plan for family events.
Would you like the home to feature any specific amenities such as a fireplace, a mudroom for ski equipment, or a hot tub?
I want all of that.
Ready? Let's go. And now it's beginning to generate.
Oh, I like the second one.
It's got the fireplace in your bedroom, as you have asked. This is a 1-story right now.
Okay, I think I'd like 2-story.
And you'll notice it put the bedroom on the 2nd floor because you said you wanted the living area downstairs. And so it's really understood quite a bit.
Can I change it right now to see what an affordable home would look like?
Let's see. This looks expensive. Can you make the home more affordable? And so you can see it's made it a little smaller.
The kitchen's smaller, I see.
Everything is smaller. Everything's a little more basic.
So you can see just a little bit of what it does, but it actually does a whole lot more than that. And in the end, it's going to spit out your plans and your elevations, your drawings, possibly even your permits, and give you costs for everything. So it really makes it faster and easier and a lot more affordable. Gadi.
I am praying my wife is not watching the show tonight, because I'm going to lose her for months if she sees this. This is crazy. I do have to ask, I mean, should architects be worried here? The first person that we heard from in this story was an architect.
Yeah, there's no question it's going to change the way they do things, just like AI is changing everything everybody does. It's going to make it easier for consumers to get in there and do a lot of the work. Now, Ballard said, the CEO of the company said, look, architects could use this as a tool to begin with. They could help them do what they do better. But in the end, yes, it's going to make it easier to do this for consumers. And that could pull back on architects, the need for them, because as you might know, when you have to get architectural drawings, that's thousands and thousands of dollars. And when you make a change, it's even more money. This is going to be a whole lot cheaper.
Yeah, fascinating. As long as demolition still stays within human hands, I guess it's okay. Diana Olick, thanks so much. Fascinating stuff. And now on to the future of space travel and a very big, very special birthday to SpaceX that turns 22 today. And what's better than the sound of a happy birthday song? How about the sweet sound of a South Texas countdown? Oh, that is the glorious rumble, the moment today when humankind lit the largest, the heaviest, most powerful candle the world has ever seen, throttling up to 16 million pounds of thrust, getting that Black Starship on top of that massive super heavy booster into Earth's orbit, where for the first time we saw a perfect hot stage separation, then that massive craft cruising at some 26,000 miles an hour, showing off its ability to open up these mammoth bay doors and starting its re-entry. And here's where things get very, very interesting. Before today, humans had never really gotten a good look at this thing that happens, this crazy hot plasma field that forms around the spacecraft as it superheats when coming back down to Earth. But check this out. Check that out, my friends. That is plasma all over the place. I have no idea how those cameras and how that Starlink connection survived as long as it did. But about that time, SpaceX lost contact with Starship as it came down somewhere over the Indian Ocean. It was a crazy, crazy, crazy day. So a little more on what happened after that and what happens next. We're going to bring in our good friend and astrophysicist, Paul Sutter. Paul, thank you so very much for joining us today. How about all of that plasma, dude?
That was a beautiful sight indeed. The sight of this rocket, as you mentioned, the world's largest, most powerful rocket ever. This rocket, once it's fully done, once they fully test it, will be capable of lifting 150 tons into orbit in a single launch. That means it could build the entire International Space Station in 3 launches. Which is just insane. The world has not seen this kind of capacity ever. And to see it just careening back into our atmosphere at tens of thousands of miles per hour, shedding all that heat as the engineers back on the ground are collecting the data, are trying to understand what's happening to this craft, its performance, its characteristics as it is falling back to Earth, so that they can go back and design an even better one for the next round. It was just amazing.
So hot. A lot of people, though, I mean, it's the internet, it's 2024, they're seeing this and they're like, yeah, but what about like the whole landing without crashing part? When does that happen with Starship? I mean, they're very ambitious with how it's supposed to land back on Earth. Realistically, how much work do you think needs to be done before this thing is ready for human astronauts?
Oh, absolutely. This is incredibly ambitious. But here's the thing. Almost all rocketry prior to the developments heralded by SpaceX were disposable. So you have this giant booster, a giant rocket, and it sends a tiny little payload up into orbit or deeper into space. And then the rest just gets chucked in the ocean. So going by the standards of rocketry as we currently have experienced it, what SpaceX just did is totally par for the course, which is to send a payload into orbit and then chuck everything else. But SpaceX is developing reusable rocketry, and they have already mastered this with smaller rockets, with the Falcon 9, with the Falcon Heavy, and now they're attempting to do it with the Starship, where the entire spacecraft, not just the Super Heavy booster, but also the Starship on top of it, can return to Earth and be cleaned up, refueled, and sent back again. This represents a quantum leap in our ability to send things into space. It just makes things so much cheaper, so much easier to access. And yeah, there's a lot of learning to do because they're doing something that nobody in the history of humanity has ever done before. So they deserve more than 3 shots to make it happen.
When we talk about the future of space travel, what role do you see Starship playing?
Starship is absolutely critical. It's actually a part of NASA's Artemis mission to return astronauts to the moon. Starship will play the role of the lunar lander. And if you remember from the Apollo era, the lunar lander was like no bigger than a room. It was this tiny little craft that could go down to the moon. Okay. The Starship is 140 feet tall. It's like landing a skyscraper on the moon. The astronauts will have a building to live in on the moon, and then it will return them back up, and then the Orion spacecraft will take them back to Earth. So it plays an essential role for our roadmap back to the moon. And then with this kind of capacity, with this kind of lift, with this kind of ability, the sky's not the limit. The space is the limit.
It's so funny. You're saying the moon, and I keep thinking of, I don't know. I mean, it's so big. It's like, hey, you got to get from LA to San Diego. I know, let's build a 747 jet and fly it over to San Diego. This thing's really built to go interplanetary, right? This thing's really built for Mars.
Oh, it's built for interplanetary travel. It's built for heavy lift capacity into low Earth orbit, and it's built for sustained presence on the moon. The Apollo missions, we were spending gobs of money. 4% of our entire nation's GDP was going to the Apollo missions, to NASA. That was unsustainable. To just go for a few days and then come back, there was no way we were going to keep that up. Now, with this kind of capacity, by sending hundreds of tons into orbit and reusing the rocket, we can not just send a few astronauts for a few days at a time. We can actually build structures on the moon. We can have instruments. We can have observing outposts. We can have astronomy. We can have people working on the moon the same way we have people working at the South Pole continuously. So it's that kind of capacity for the moon, for low Earth orbit, and for the rest of the solar system.
I cannot think of a better way to celebrate a birthday. Paul, thank you so very much for joining us. And finally tonight, on The Best of Us, we want to bring you the story of a guy named Chad Rivera, a 56-year-old skateboard and jiu-jitsu master who has superhuman abilities. Now, I don't want to ruin the surprise, but let's just say he's the kind of guy that will show you things you never thought you'd see and leave you feeling like you can do anything. In Southern California, there's an old-school skateboarder that is so respected the bowl's clear as soon as he rolls up. And yes, this is a blind mobility stick, and that is a board. And if you're thinking, wait a minute, hold on, I don't know about this, well, don't worry, because this is just the beginning of the legend of Chad Rivera.
Made it.
When it comes to the skate park, you don't see the skate park, you feel the skate park.
Yeah, but I essentially like the ball because I kind of like to get my groove. And it has that, I get that rush of, at first, when I first do my first couple of drop-ins, because I don't really see it. Every drop-in's always a little weird at first, but then I make it and then I find my groove.
Chad is 56 years old and legally blind. He lost his sight while waiting at a stoplight 34 years ago because of a rare genetic disease called Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy.
It causes all my optic nerves to die off, which is no actual blood flow in the optic nerve anymore.
While he's never been able to drive a car since, he can still kind of make out shadows and shapes, sort of like this.
I almost forget about having a vision issue. because I can do something at a upper level that not even the average Joe can do.
Chad is magical. I tell him, I go like, you can do everything as good or better than I do, except drive a car. That's it. I mean, and I've spent so much time with him that I really am not even aware that his sight is limited. I always say that Chad Rivera is no excuses.
If you hang out with him enough, his believe you can do anything attitude gets contagious.
For your fight stance, make sure your back foot's planted.
Okay. Look at this. Look at how steep that is. We're not going to do that. Here.
Yeah.
This is yours. We will let you do this. I feel like hanging out with you for more than a day would end me in the hospital.
All right, while I got too scared to drop into that bowl, I figured I'd try dropping in on another of Chad's favorite pastimes. And this one's a lot closer to the ground. Turns out jiu-jitsu is how Chad starts his days as an instructor at Surf Fight in Del Mar.
The grip makes a natural wrinkle right there for you to grab. And then I just kind of go for the choke. Got it.
For him, a black belt, teaching is all about what you can feel and what you can adapt to. Two things in which Chad is a true master.
Jiu-jitsu, like, it just does seem like the great equalizer.
Before I was put in for a peace of mind, and now I get to help people get a peace of mind, which is kind of cool. I didn't think I'd be instructing.
And when it comes to what his students see, an unbeatable joy for life and the kind of man they want to be.
He just lives a healthy lifestyle, and it kind of puts into perspective for me, like, I want to grow up, be like Chad.
So whether he taps you out or you get a chance to spot him on his board, his vibe is liberating.
Such an inspiration, an incredible human. And if that wasn't enough, Chad just decided to start designing his own sunglasses and selling them. These are them right there. I'm telling you, this world is Chad's. That does it for us tonight. I'm Gadi Schwartz. We'll see you here tomorrow. But until then, stay tuned now. Thanks, Chad.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.